Welcome friends to another r/am I the jerk video. I hope I'm not a jerk for asking, but could you hit the like and subscribe buttons down below? That said, our first story of the day is by Throwaway69. Am I the jerk for telling my daughter she can't use her college money on her boyfriend, which caused her to break up with him? I know that the title paints me as a total jerk, but please hear me out. I'm 47-year-old female. My daughter Sarah, 18-year-old female, is a very smart girl. She has a 4.0 GPA, she's valedictorian of her class, and she's just gotten word from her dream college that she's received a full ride scholarship. We have a college fund for her of about $250,000. When we found out about the scholarship, we agreed that we would still give her the money to pay for other things that she would need in college, such as housing, food, etc. Well, she came home yesterday kind of sad. I asked her what was the matter. She said that she was not going to college anymore. Apparently her boyfriend Brian, 19-year-old male, told her to not go anymore. Some background on Brian: his family is very well off, and his parents have never issued discipline on this child. I mean, he's very rude and disrespectful. And although he seems sweet to my daughter when they're alone, she'll complain that whenever they're out with friends, Brian's constantly putting her down and comparing her to Instagram models. Brian's currently enrolled in college, but he has no set course for his future. He's just rolling with the cards, as Sarah says. Some other background info is that my daughter's going to school for marine biology. Well, with what my daughter told me about their conversation, she was telling Brian about her full ride scholarship and how excited she was to finally go to school for marine biology. He's never supported her dream of being a marine biologist and has always told her to go to college for a real job. When he sat her down and told her to not go to college at all, he told her to wait for him here in our town and don't worry about getting a job even because his parents will support her, and that he didn't feel comfortable with her going to college out of state and so far away. He also said that it made him feel unmanly when she had a set course for her future, which will give her a good life, while he has none. After she told me what was going on, I didn't make a decision right away, but I knew that I wasn't going to just let my daughter throw away her future like this. She then asked me for her college fund so she could help support Brian's dreams? So I took time to think, and I sat her down today. I told her that she cannot have her college fund to spend on Brian. She started freaking out, asking why, and it was her money, and I asked her to listen. I asked her if she could actually see a serious future with Brian in it. She said nothing the first time, and then started crying. I asked her again more gently this time, and she admitted no while still crying. I pleaded with her to please not throw away her future for someone who she can't see herself having a life with. She then nodded and went up to her room for some time to think. From what I've learned, she broke it off with Brian, and he's been calling non-stop, crying and begging to speak to her. I feel very guilty and sort of like a jerk. Am I? So personally, I think OP's not the jerk. I think there might be a subset of people that say you should let her make her own decisions and not interfere. But I think what OP's doing here is by far and away in the best interest of their kid. They got a full ride scholarship to the college of their dreams, and they're willing to give it up because the boyfriend's jealous? Or somehow emasculated that they're going to college for a future career plan that they've been dreaming of? As far as the money goes, I definitely understand not giving it to her if it's a college fund. If they don't go to college and they're not using it for college for themselves, then the money wouldn't actually be going to where it was intended to the entire time. What do you guys think? Was OP in the right for interfering the way they did here? Or do you think that OP should have let her daughter make her own decisions and just kept the money out of it if it wasn't for her college? Let me know what you guys think in the comments down below. Our next story is by Throwaway19203039. Am I the jerk for refusing to do a gender reveal cake for someone? I'm 23-year-old female, my ex-husband 35-year-old male, and I have 1-year-old twins together. And due to a lot of complications from that pregnancy, I got a partial hysterectomy. We divorced during my pregnancy after I discovered he cheated on me. He's a good dad and his girlfriend is now pregnant. He cheated on me with his current girlfriend, but she didn't know he had a wife at the time, and I firmly believe that. I run a pretty successful baking company in our small town, and I do custom desserts, including gender reveal cakes. My husband's girlfriend called me and asked if I would be willing to do a gender reveal cake for them, and said it would mean a lot if the mother of her baby's siblings made the cake for the party. I told her I had to think about it, but eventually told her no. I am admittedly incredibly bitter at my ex for cheating on me while I was bedridden and medically fragile, being pregnant with his children, and I don't want to be involved in the celebration of their new child. I did specify that it wasn't her, but I couldn't do it, and she said alright and hung up. My ex then called me and told me I was being rude and unreasonable and completely unprofessional, putting our issues before my business. I told him I was allowed to refuse service to anyone and hung up on him. I feel like I've let my feelings get in the way of my business, and if I made the cake, it's not like I have to be there to celebrate. On the other hand, I do feel like I'm allowed to refuse business however I see fit. Am I the jerk? Although it's not really necessarily meant in this context, it kind of reminds me of the whole "don't mix business and relationships" saying. That said, I think OP firmly reserves the right to deny service to anybody for any reason. They don't have to make a cake for anybody, and I think this reason's a pretty darn good one, especially for their feelings and their mental health and their stress. I don't think OP's a jerk here. This next story is by My Dog Hates You 917. Am I the jerk for threatening my new neighbors with my dog? For some context, I, female, 28, just moved from my city to my first house in a suburban neighborhood about 6 months ago. Just me and my dog Oaken, a Dutch Shepherd. My dog is trained as a personal protection dog, PPD. I'm a runner, and Oaken runs with me. We were running in our neighborhood's park and pond area. I had my AirPods in. It was just getting dark. I'd noticed in passing a guy on his bike on the same trails. And as we were coming around the pond, he was stopped on our path. He waved us down and said he had dropped his keys, asked if I'd seen them on the path, asked if I had a light on me because he thinks he dropped them in the grass, wanted to know if I lived in the neighborhood, if I was nearby because he didn't see any cars in the parking area that he didn't recognize. Basically anything to keep us there and keep talking. Not scary, but annoying with a definite hint of creepy. After he forgot his initial story and said, "I'm gonna be so pissed at myself if I lost another earbud. That's my third pair and they're nearly $300 a pop," I moved to leave, and he stood in the path and started asking about Oaken. Oaken wasn't doing anything aggressive at this point. No hair raise, no growling or barking. He was doing exactly what he was trained to do, and every time the guy would move to get closer to us, he would just stand between me and him. The guy asked if he was friendly, asked to pet him, and I said I'd rather he not. He kept saying dogs loved him, blah blah. I again said no, and we started to walk around the guy to go. That's when he decided it would be a good idea to try to grab Oaken's leash. I have no idea why, your guess is as good as mine. Oaken backed us up, low growl, showed his teeth, didn't snap, didn't bite, we left. The encounter was strange enough that I posted in the neighborhood app. Nothing accusing the guy of attacking us or anything over the top like that, just that my dog and I had gotten stopped by a stranger out running and a reminder to not grab at a person's dog or dog leash without permission. Apparently Park Guy's wife read the post and recognized her husband immediately, because since then, she's been telling every neighbor who will listen about my aggressive attack dog. I've now gotten a letter from the HOA, and apparently the next homeowners meeting has breed-specific bans on the agenda. While I believe Oaken's response was appropriate and controlled, I'm feeling sad and disappointed that my new community has the wrong impression. I'm not out to terrify people. Am I the jerk for posting what I posted to the neighborhood app and apparently starting a feud with my new neighbor? Was I wrong for calling out Park Guy publicly? I think it actually does sound a lot creepier than OP's letting on. The weird lies so they can get close to you, trying to take the dog's leash. You're not in the wrong at all, you're not a jerk. That dude was creepy as heck. And you very clearly said, "I'd rather not," to petting the dog, so they walk up and try to grab the leash anyways? I just hope that if they do pass these breed-specific bans, that they can go up to you and say, "Okay, we passed these rules, you're in violation, you gotta do something about it." Like, I hope OP has to be like grandfathered in or something, because that's just totally unfair. Our next story is by Queenie G Me. Would I be the jerk if I sent my mom and stepdad an invoice for all the money my mom owes me? I'm a 19-year-old girl, and I've been living alone for a year. Right after I turned 18, I started looking for places to move due to the situation at home. At my mom's house, there was living me, my mom, 39, my stepdad, 43, and their two kids who are 13 and 5. My stepdad and mom have been together since I was 2, but he never took on the role of a dad for me, which I really don't care about. Those problems started when I was 15, when my mom started to ask me to pay for my own medication, transports to school, and other things that I needed. It only grew from there. After I turned 16, I started dating my ex-boyfriend, whose mom needed an assistant because of her disability. I loved to help, so she would schedule me as her assistant on days that her other assistants were taking their vacations or days off. The pay was good, and over the 2 years of us being together, I gathered quite a nice amount of money to be able to move out and start a life for myself. My mom saw this as an opportunity to get money from me. You see, when my mom was pregnant with my youngest sister, she started studying. She never actually ended up going back to work until my sister was 3, so she didn't have a lot of extra money. Over the years, I've had to pay the phone bills of my whole family so that they wouldn't be shut off, food for all of us, my sister's medicine, car payments, and sometimes she wouldn't even give me a reason why she borrowed money. For the most part, I wanted to help because I didn't want my sisters to go hungry or sick. The worst thing she borrowed money from me were an Apple Watch and eyelash extensions. I doubt my mom's even told my stepdad about all the money she's borrowed from me. Now, after a year of living alone and refusing to loan any more money to my mom, she's basically cut me out completely. In the past month, I've spoken to her maybe an hour at maximum. From 2019 to 2022, she's borrowed over $1,600 from me, from which she still owes me $550 that would cover a month's rent for me. And the biggest thing she hasn't paid me back is the Apple Watch, which she was supposed to pay back after she got her other watch sold. A few months later, I found out she sold it but never gave me any of the money. I've grown more and more upset with her after finding out that she would also borrow money from my biological dad and her parents for the same thing she borrowed money from me. I have come really close to sending her all of the information about the money she still owes me, but I doubt she would even acknowledge it. That's why I want to know, Reddit, would I be the jerk if I sent the information to both my mom and stepdad so I could finally get the money I'm owed? I don't think OP would be a jerk for doing it, but I'm not sure OP would have great success. I feel like somebody like this that already has gone so long without paying you back, and even in regards to some things like the Apple Watch, just try to forget that they even owed you. I think it's gonna be an uphill battle to actually get that $550. I wish them the best though, and I definitely think they're not a jerk. Our next story is by Jesus Loves You. Am I the jerk for refusing my wife's requests to hurl in the toilet? So I had some bad food last night and got sick. My wife has repeatedly requested that when I hurl, to do so in the toilet. There's a few reasons why this is tough and I refuse. For one, I might have just been there, which was in fact the case last night. 2, it's a tough position to get in if you're about to throw up. And 3, cleanup is actually tougher. I always just throw up in the sink, and I did so last night. I also cleaned it spotless afterwards with Lysol. It looks better than before and is way cleaner than before. Her problem is that now she thinks it's gross for her to use that sink. I say it's equally gross for me to try to position myself in our small bathroom to hurl in the toilet that I was just sitting on. Sorry for the gross topic, but anyway, am I the jerk for refusing this request and using the sink instead? I think it's definitely better to do it in the toilet because you're going to send all that stuff down into the sink, into your pipes. If accidents happen, but you should try to go to the toilet if you can. And also, just because you might have used the toilet, what does that matter if you're hurling? I feel like the last thing on your mind is, oh man, I just pooed here. I think what's really on your mind at that point is probably blah blah blah. It won't hurt you, you'll be fine. What do you guys think? Was OP being a jerk here? And our final story of the day is by NoFood56789. Am I the jerk for telling my daughter I won't eat her food anymore? I'm a 53-year-old female. My 22-year-old female daughter is vegan and currently living with me. She's been cooking vegan meals from time to time and offering them to me, which I gladly accept because she's a great cook. I always add meat or cheese to my portion of the food. I love meat and cheese and it tastes much better with it. My daughter noticed that and asked me if I always do that to her meals. I told her yes. She got very upset about that and said that it feels like I'm changing her cooking and implying that what she cooks isn't tasty enough. I told her that that's my preference. She asked me if I ever tried her food without adding anything. I told her no. I never tried being vegan or vegetarian, but I know it's not for me, and she never pressured me into trying it. She, still upset, told me that I would survive one meal without animal products. I then told her that I won't eat her food anymore if she's so butthurt over my preference. She's still sulking in her room over it. Am I the jerk for telling her that I won't eat her food anymore? I think OP's a jerk just in the sense that I feel like if your kid's vegan and they're willing to cook these meals for you, you should give them the benefit of the doubt and try it and see if it's something that you actually enjoy. If you've tried it and you found out it's really not for you, you don't like it, I think it's fine to have that preference. But clearly the daughter's upset because they want OP to give it a try, but OP's never even given it a try, continues to desecrate it, and then says, well, you know what, I'll never eat it again then. I'd say that's jerk behavior. But with that being said, that's all the time we have for today. So of all these stories I've read today, which is your favorite and why? Let me know in the comments down below. And if you haven't yet, if you could like and subscribe, that would mean a lot to me. Whatever you do, whether it's liking, subscribing, turning notifications on, all of it helps grow this channel and I appreciate the heck out of it. So until next time, I'll see you all tomorrow with some more stories.